by the moderator, Mr. Miftahul Ulum PhD, Lecturer Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Muhammadiyah, Jakarta. Please welcome Mr. Miftahul Ulum PhD. The stage is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wuan. Okay, I'm just trying my Mandarin. I did learn Mandarin when I was in undergraduate. So let me practice a bit. 你好，你好吗？真的好。我是乌鲁，我是印尼人啊。午饭吃的怎么样？好吃吗？好吃。OK， 好吃。真的好吃。So I was asking about the lunch. 好吃 means laziz, delicious. So anyway, this is the hardest part, the hardest session, because we just had our lunch and then now we need to continue our discussion, the plenary. And so that's why, actually I would like to confess that I know exactly what you are and we are feeling right now. It is a post-lunch, right? Your stomachs are full. The room is quite warm, a bit cold. And let's be honest, I do believe that some of you might fighting the urge to slowly slide into nap. But I'll make sure we have a deal here. Stay awake for the next 75 minutes. And I promise you that no PowerPoint lullabies, because what you are about to hear is not just another plenary session. This is social work, the action movie. So I would like to imagine social workers as superheroes. We have one guy attack whistleblowers, exposing artificial intelligence hidden dangers. You may now guess who this superhero will be. Prof. Paul. We have another superhero, a forest guardian, turning climate justice into community power. Yes, he is Dr. Rudy. And the last, we have another superhero, a policy disruptor, rewriting the rules of Indonesian social work. I do believe that these are not Marvel characters. They are our real life presenters today. So if you thought social work was just case files meetings, buckle up. Today's plenary too is better than fiction, because these three speakers are reshaping the future of our field. So let's meet them. I'm going to invite them, but later I will introduce them. But is it okay to invite you guys to sit in front of us? Because you are all our superheroes, right? So I will invite our tech whistleblower superhero, Prof. Paul, to come forward. And then our forest guardian, Dr. Rudy, and also our policy disruptor, Dr. Puji. forest guardian. The world is waiting for you. These are our superheroes today. So, I do believe that we are quite run out of time. So, I will not give further introductions. So, for our first speakers today, let's call him the algorithm avenger. Our first panelist, Prof. Paul Duong Tran. I do believe that I will not read his profile because I do believe that you have it on your own, but let me make it into a movie action. So, Prof. Paul Duong Tran is a Fulbright rock star, currently jet-setting across Vietnam, the Philippines, and Indonesia to train the next generations of social workers. But here is the twist. He is also obsessed with AI's dark side. Think about it. Can an algorithm from California really understand a rural Indonesian community? Spoiler, of course, no. Prof. Paul will reveal how AI might be the biggest threat to equitable social work unless we intervene. He will expose how algorithms might be failing communities because, plot twist, AI doesn't understand cultural nuance. So can we trust technology billionaires to code empathy? Prof. Paul's here to warn us, garbage data in, garbage services out. So let's listen, and over to you, Prof. Paul.
Good afternoon, and I'm sorry, but I have my cup of coffee, so. But my talk this afternoon relates to the four themes this morning. Look, what do we see? Or do we choose to look? Or we choose to look at the right thing, right? And that relates to Professor Harvard's idea of invisible disability. Even if we look, we don't want to see. But also, Professor Isbandi talked about the framework for economic development, where he introduces the spiritual capital and technological capital. Part of my work right now is to talk to philosophers, theologians, etc., to look at the moral question of what should the next platform of technology be. Artificial intelligence. But also the speaker from the Ministry of Social Welfare talked about, he raised the question, how should technology control humanities? Okay. I'm a Fulbright scholar. My main job is in California. Two things I want to know. How have technological advances served human needs? Okay? And what happens when there are no data points? That's what artificial intelligence. And that, in a way, as a symbol, if we don't look, you don't have data points. That's how the eyes work. In 1945, the United States tested the first atomic bomb. Okay. Where do you point this at? Okay. Wait. I have to go back. Can someone control for me? Few more. One more. Okay. Next slide. Since 1945, we have more pollution because we use fuel, burn from oil. So nuclear fusion from atomic bomb has not provided clean energy. because of the lack of clean energy, we are burning up the earth. Okay, that is the most significant scientific development in the last century. Next, please. Since the atomic bomb, this last year, the world spent $2.4 trillion on military. Next, please. That is the ranking, economic ranking of almost all the European countries, the 10 countries in the circle. That's how much we spent. So the question is that, could we have built a home for every poor person on earth with $2.4 trillion? That's just 1 year. So we created the atomic bomb, but we have spent more money on more weapons to defend against the bomb. And because we spent more money on bombs and weapons, now there are 120 million people on earth who are displaced, pushed out from places, from the home, refugees, etc. Next, please. The smartphone about 20-some years ago was I would consider a major platform of technology. There are now more smartphones in the world than people. It's over 8 billion smartphones. Next, please. What has the smartphone really done for human needs? Peter and I talk about humanities. The graph you see in the middle, that's how many people who don't have adequate health care in Asia or around the world. Okay? So we have smartphones, but we still don't have access to health care. In 2022, that's how many people connected using smartphone to the internet, Wi-Fi, etc. If you look at all those companies, most of those companies are either owned by Americans or Chinese major owners. So essentially, the platform of smartphone has made a lot of people rich. So the question you have to ask yourself, what has Google done to build a house or to clean water? Right? So I'm just giving the history of technology, and the question is that what has it done to serve human needs? Next, please. Data points, next. Simple. If the car drives by itself, it needs to know the road. That's data. It has cameras, how many cameras, it has to scan things, okay? If you turn it off, you don't have it. If you take off the glasses, you don't see. If you don't look, you don't see, okay? So you need data points, okay? Next, please. Most people here, Indonesia, probably doesn't know everything about your country. I certainly don't know everything about your country. The Google, the Yahoo, the WhatsApp, they don't know anything about your country. Okay? That's a lot of ethnic groups, a lot of languages, a lot of islands. Okay? If you don't have data points, then you have nothing. Okay? That is what I want to talk about. Next, please. These are just ethnic groups. Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand. Most of us here don't know anything about those countries. We don't, right? I'm not sure if the West knows anything about that. Next, please. China, India, okay. That is the natural diversity of human beings, okay? So what I'm trying to get to is that who will write, document, research, and present and share to the world about these data points? Okay? If the indigenous people, if the national people from Indonesia, China, Vietnam, Philippines, if you don't write, do research, publish about this, then the AI companies don't have data points. They don't have that. Okay? So in my work the last 10 months here, I've been pushing for a lot of scholars, educators all over Asia to really make an effort to write, develop knowledge for their own countries, for the region. That, to me, is the most important part. Next, please. Knowledge building, next. I spent a lot of time going all over the 3 countries. I spent time here in UMJ, Philippines, and Vietnam. I'm trying to tell people that you need to review, revise, reformulate theories, measurement, and intervention. I'm saying that not be critical. I'm saying that because it's necessary. Some of the posters I saw here are different innovation, different interventions, social-based, geocoded-based, etc., in different countries, in the Philippines, in China, and so on. That is, to me, is very necessary. In this kind of conference and my work now, I'm really encouraged supporting people from the countries to generate knowledge, to understand theories. Of course, in social intervention, we deal with measurement, and then we deal with prevention, intervention. Disabilities, we use the entire diagnostic system from the West. That's important. We need to understand how diagnostic system is being reviewed, received, and has meaning in every part, every village, every island around Southeast Asia. There are a lot of islands in Asia. Next, please. This is very important. Most of us don't know this. 92% of scientific publications are in English. Right. Peter told me that he's the editor of a journal, but it's in English. It's not in Bahasa, Indonesia, it's not in Vietnamese, it's not in Chinese, it's in English. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that it's written by 17% of people who read English. There are 8 billion people on Earth. Asia alone accounts for 4 billion people, that's half. And most people don't read English very well. So if they don't read English, they can't use it. If they can't produce it because the journals don't publish it, we have a gap. We have a blockage, right? Information doesn't get out, okay? And people don't generate the information. So 17% reads English, but yet almost 100% of scientific knowledge, that is the data points that are produced by somebody who reads and writes in English. Next, please. This is a kind of a Western university accepted model of what are some of the major things that causes health problems. This is Professor Ismandi talked this morning about we do have to address this in different countries. He proposed the idea of the endogenous model, and he introduced the spiritual capital, the technological capital, etc., etc. I don't know anything about Indonesia. I know there are many, many different people who are very different. I know the Philippines is the same, but at some point, people got to kind of understand, study, write, publish that to educate the world about that stuff. So that way, we can revise. The World Bank, WHO, everybody has model metric to measure progress. But actually, there hasn't been much progress in the last 50, 60 years because we haven't really figured out on the ground how to do that. Next, please. Who owns AI companies? Well, most of these are, right now, America has the most investment in startup in China. That's it. My concern in talking to a conference like this is that we have to be very careful. I'm talking about we who are not part of the dominant money, capital investors and so on, is that I really believe we are seeing the beginning of what I call a massive digital colonization. There's going to be a colonialism based on digital data. 500 years ago, they used ships and cannons. Indonesia, you had the Dutch here. But if we don't provide the data points from here, there's going to be a massive divide controlled by the AI company. Okay? We design technology, but we never ask the questions, what is the real impact on humanity? The atomic bomb, the smartphone, etc. Google is nice, but Google hasn't solved poverty. Okay? And so, as yet now we are moving to AI. The reason I say this, almost all countries in Asia I talk with, everyone is rushing to adopt AI in all their social function. Well, I like technology, but I don't think that's the right time, place yet. Okay, next please. You can see AI does not deal with the things that the global agencies have been talking about, the UN organization, UNDP, etc. It will not provide people livable wages. It will not eliminate poverty. It will not distribute wealth. Actually, right now they are talking about AI investment. It's going to be massive, kind of shifting of wealth to very small few people who control everything. It does not stop war, conflict. Atomic war hasn't stopped. Smartphone hasn't stopped war. It does not guarantee happiness and love. It doesn't. I'm not trying to be negative and skeptical, but what I'm pointing out is that there are people from different countries, future scholars. We need to push back and ask the question, what is the corporate and social responsibility now for wealthy nations, for corporations, for technologies, to make sure that the world has the same share of technology. Next, please. This is something that is shocking when I start to do research. 80% of things that you search on the internet is in English. Okay? English is the language. Now, of course, in China, you may search in Chinese, but the rest outside of China, everything's in English. Most of the major search engines are in English. So that information you search comes from sources that are written and produced by people who are familiar with English. Okay? So meaning the search engine can only find what's available. Search engine cannot. Now, of course, AI can estimate, they can generate ideas. What would the future human being look like? But that's based on guess, data points, they guess. But they don't know exactly what the future human looks like. But the concern I have is that how do you provide working with people in different islands in Indonesia, different islands in the Philippines who have different languages, different religions, different traditions, different cultures? How do you do that? Okay, now the computer can try to come up with an idea, but my fear is that there will be just errors as well. Next, please. Time to worry. Next. Several of my colleagues right now, we are tackling this topic. What is the moral duty in artificial intelligence? Okay, there are scientists asking the question. A lot of people say, well, it will make jobs a lot more safe and efficient. Well, what about people who will lose jobs? How will it replace? This is the danger of advanced technology without knowing, okay? All of us are trained in terms of methodology. You have to test the intervention before you implement it, all right? You don't give out the drugs without testing the drugs. But the problem with this kind of platform is that they are driven not by social scientists or humanists or philosophers. They are driven entirely, like Violet is talking about, it's all about money. That's what colonialization was. It was all about resources and money. Okay? That was about 500 years ago, and I think it's going to happen at a pace that is much more advanced. There will be countries, parts of the world that we've left far behind if we don't work together to generate the knowledge for the people, by the people of the region. Okay, next please. Thank you. So, all right.
What a great presentation. I told you, right? But please still stay tuned because we still have two more. So I do believe that AI might be the future. But if we lose our voice, there will be no future to code. Luckily, our second speaker plants real seeds of change. Dr. Rudy, a man who actually makes trees and social work best friend forever, as the head of Indonesia's Social Work Education Association, he is proving that saving rainforest requires social workers. Dr. Rudy is not just a social work professor, he is Indonesia's answer to Captain Planet. While corporations see forests as ATMs, he trains communities to own and protect them. Indigenous land rights, check. Climate justice, check. Turning policymakers into eco-allies, double check. His message, no sustainability without social equity. Dr. Rudy, please show us how it is done.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to moderator for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I will present the result of my initial studies on the involvement of social work in responding to global issues related to the environment, especially those related to forests and their use by the community. My presentation have the title Social Work in Sustainable Environmental Management, or SAM, in the case of social forestry. This presentation will be divided into three parts. First is about what is Sustainable Environment Management, or SAM. And second part is about social forestry, and third is about position of social work. Next, please. Okay, thank you. Next. Okay, environmental issue cannot be separated from the problem faced by the people. Environmental damage is basically caused by human behavior that explore nature extensively without adequate management. In fact, if managed properly, the use of nature will fulfill human life, will be able to provide sustainable benefit. Therefore, sustainable environment management, or SAM, is something important to strive for. SAMs refer to strategic use, protection and restoration of natural resources and ecosystem in ways that meet the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. SAMs balances ecological integrity, economic development, and social equity to ensure long-term sustainability. If we examine them more deeply, there are several key principles in SAM that relate to values in social work. That is sustainability, precautionary approach, intergenerational equity, participatory governance, and integration of environment, social, and economic goals. Next. Relate to sustainable environmental management that I mentioned earlier, I want to show its implementation through the social forestry program, especially in Indonesia. Problem that still occur in Indonesia related to the environmental issues is about forest destruction. Until now, the reduction in forest area due to various activities is still happening. The graph show that forests in Indonesia are still decreasing, although the condition of the reduction are different. And in 1924, there is the deforestation distribution occur in 2024, where most of the deforestation occur in the production forest and outside forest area, and only 3% occur conservation area. Now that show that, however, in the 1923 to 1924, which was significantly caused by forest and land fires and illegal logging. And forest reduction need to be controlled, especially in relation to the existence of surrounding community. Next. Okay. Climate change and deforestation intensity, the need for socially inclusive environmental policies become increasingly urgent. The real form of government policy in responding to environmental change is through the social forestry program. Communities around the forest to apply for forest area management right to the government. Through social forestry, community can have equal and broad access to manage forest and land. And with the form of utilization of forest products that are in accordance with environmentally friendly use sustainability principle, environmental conservation goal can be in line with effort to improve community welfare. Next. Social forestry in Indonesia has a long history. Since the New Order regime was established, forest management efforts have been carried out by the state and community. However, forest utilization at that time still ignored that community around the forest and many conflicts accompanied it. After the Reformation period in 1998, decentralization policies and democratic reform create opportunity to community forestry model. And then at 1919, published forest law that recognize community right to forest access, laying the groundwork for later social forestry initiative. Attention to this program has grown during President Jokowi leadership that prioritize social forestry as part of its agrarian reform agenda. In 2016, published ministerial regulation streamlining licensing and expanding community managed forest area. Now, the social forestry scheme encompassing 5 permit types, namely village forest or hutan desa, customary forest or hutan adat, community forest or hutan kemasyarakatan, community plantation forest or hutan tanaman rakyat, and partnership forest or kemitraan kehutanan. This approach addresses poverty alleviation and land tenure conflict, and also strengthen environmental stewardship through participatory governance. Next. Social forestry is essentially not just a technical forestry program, manage trees or land, but is a social economy development and community empowerment program based on forest resources. There are several principles that social forestry has. First, community participation, which include inclusive decision making, capacity building, empowerment and right. And second principle is sustainable management of forest resources, which contain ecological balance, agroforestry and mixed land use, adaptive management. And third, socio-economic benefit for forest conservation, which include livelihood improvement, poverty reduction, and resilient building. The principle of forest social forestry are basically in line with the principle of social work. By combining with social work principles, it creates long-term solutions that benefit both communities and ecosystems. They emphasize participation, empowerment, and sustainability, ensuring that social forestry initiatives are inclusive, justice, and effective. Next, where the position of social work? Position of the discipline of social work in environmental issues can be based on several views and that fact. Attention to human rights based and anti-oppressive practices is the foundation for social work practice in physical environment and sustainability for the future generation. Besides that, the effort to include the physical environmental in the realm of professional social work practice is based on the belief that environmental sustainability, in addition to being a theoretical and practical dimension of social work, is also an ethical issue for social work. It is appropriate if social work play a crucial role in promoting sustainable environmental management by integrating community empowerment, social justice, and ecological conservation. Next, the challenges in Indonesia. While Indonesia's social forestry program has made significant strides in community empowerment and environmental conservation, it faces structural, economic, and political challenges. Results from several researchers found that these challenges exist in various forms: bureaucratic, heartless, complex permitting process. There is an overlapping regulation and slow approval. They find also lack of standardized procedure, which each province has different documentation requirement that is confusing the communities. Another research found that limited resources is about technical and financial gap. There's a lack of technical expertise and inadequate funding. Research found that only 5% of social forestry group receive the government grant. And another challenge is corporate resistance, is as if opposition from industry. Research found palm oil and mining lobbying, they get the companies pressure local government to revoke a community permit. And another is found that about the legal intimidation. Community face the slap lump suit when protesting land grabs. And another challenge is emerging challenge like climate change and innovative opportunities about ecotourism partnership. Next. The role of social work regarding the current condition of social forestry in Indonesia, there are several roles that can be played by social workers. Social workers play a pivotal role in Indonesia social forestry program by bridging policy implementation, community empowerment, and community sustainability. Their interventions are critical in ensuring that forest management is inclusive, equitable, and ecological sound. In community empowerment and capacity building role, social worker can participatory planning and decision making, training and skill development, livelihood diversification. In conflict resolution and advocacy role, social worker do mediating land dispute, legal empowerment, and also policy advocacy. In promoting environmental justice role, social worker can help to equitable resources access, preventing exploitation. In strengthening social capital and collective action role, social worker building community-based organization, and enhancing social cohesion. Next, as conclusion, social workers are indispensable to ensuring Social forestry achieve its triple bottom line: ecological health, economic benefit, and social equity. Their roles in empowerment, conflict resolution, justice advocacy, and institutional building make them key actors in sustainable development. Combining social work and social forestry ensure that community development is holistic, participatory, and sustainable. By empowering communities to manage their forest responsibility, this approach strengthens social equity, economic resilience, and environmental conservation, ultimately creating a balanced and thriving society. And as recommendation, first, expand interdisciplinary collaboration. Second, increase government funding for community training to empower the community. And third, integrate social curricula with environmental management studies. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Rudy, for very insightful presentations. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear audiences, so we've seen how AI's blind spot could marginalize communities and how saving forests means empowering people first. But none of this transformative work can last. None of it truly matters if the very foundations of social work remains fractured. What good is fixing a system if the provisions meant to serve them is itself trapped in outdated frameworks? This is where our final speaker enters as the architect of change. Again, you may find his profile in the booklet, but again, because this is a very crucial time of post-lunch, let me try to dramatize it. So Dr. Puji Pujiono, try to picture this, imagine a young social worker in the smoke and chaos of Timor's refugee camp, where survival's eclipse theory. Fast forward to the police halls of Geneva, where global humanitarian policies are forged, and now to Jakarta's political arena, where he is dismantling decades of bureaucratic inertia. So this is not just a career, this is Dr. Puji Pujiono's lifelong seek against systemic failure. And based on his experience today, here he is with us, try to present on the title of Decoding Indonesian Social Works Conundrum, a pathway to professional growth. Without further ado, Dr. Puji, stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Look, I'm very proud to be part of the panel who has all males. This rarely happened, but it's happening now. All are male panelists. It shouldn't happen. But anyway, I'm here. I'm personally very excited with the talk today. We were talking a lot about the progress, about the issue and so on. But listen, at the end of the day, all of this has to be performed by someone, and that would be social worker. And that someone we have to congregate it into some sort of association. I'm afraid, colleagues, you coming from the US, from Ireland, from Japan, from the Philippines, from India, you might have taken it for granted that social workers are there and that the association are running well. Well, Paul, I got bad news for you, man. At least in ASEAN, counting Philippines out, all the 9 countries in ASEAN might have the same problem. We might have the legislation, we might have the association, but they're not running. If the vehicle is not running, my fear is that social workers are not functioning, not at the level that you and I want. So on that account, I will be presenting to you the problem that we have in Indonesia. But as I said, my fear, it might be widely shared. Okay? By way of introducing the scale of my country. This is a country of 17,000 islands. Philippines, how many islands do you have? 7,000. We have 17,000. That's during the daytime. Huh? At night, it might be more. We are the largest Muslim country in the world. Okay? And if you travel from one end to the other, you cross 3 time zones. That's how big this country is. And for that, in 2019, after 6 years of struggle, we finally have the social workers law in Indonesia. Okay? But I keep saying, it's not working yet. And I'm going to discuss with you why. At the same time, the government is launching a medium-term plan that was discussed this morning, that put the golden Indonesia as a language, that put a social transformation. But I'm afraid the country is not paying attention to the social workers, the very doer of the transformation. I think we have the gap in the institution, and we need to have some pragmatic solution. Next slide, please. Don't worry, I have about 47 slides, so it's okay. Now the time is okay. No, I have only 4 slides. Colleagues, first, we have the typical professional identity crisis, where social work is interpreted as equated with doing good. So anybody who is doing well, doing good in Indonesia is called social workers. I took 10 years education with somebody who is doing charity would be at the same standing. Unfortunately, the government perpetuated this. They would conduct training for about 2 weeks and they call the graduate social workers. Meanwhile, the proper social workers' titles is being degraded into, say, somebody who accompany some disabled individual or something like that. That's a crisis that we have in Indonesia, and I think Southeast Asia has the same problem. Number 2, the institutional fragmentation. We don't have a single social work association in Indonesia. Of course, there are many ministries that by law require to have social workers, right? But there has been no agreement, despite the fact that we have the law, of what social worker is all about. Number 3, implementation gap. There is disconnect between the law and the implementation. The law is there, but without adequate implementing regulation, there is no forcing power. There is no obligation for the ministry to implement the law. So, we are really hanging out there. We cannot really operate. And the sectors are operating under conflicting mandates. Next, we have the recognition deficit. Social workers who are doing the real job, medical social workers, correctional social workers, and others, in terms of financial compensation, social workers are among the lowest compensated in this country. Okay? And limited career development. I would say, even in the Ministry of Social Affairs, out of so many directorates, I think it's only one who is run by a social worker. So you and I are facing a real problem now that the legislation doesn't solve the problem. Next slide, please. Now, the priorities. On the left side, you see the general priorities for the country, where Dr. Rudy is the president of the Association of Social Work Schools. Need to work with me, Association of Social Workers, to address this. regulatory consolidation. We need to pull some of this regulation to make sense, to make a better sense. Number two, empower the organization. Okay? Get the real power. My organization operates on members due. Do you know how much is my budget in 1 year? You might be surprised. $1,500. $1,500 a year. A year. In a country that has 280 million people with 17,000 islands and 3 time zones. And my budget is $1,500 a year. I cannot push the mountain. I cannot drain the sea. I cannot drain the ocean. I cannot move the train without that. Okay? And then we need to have institutional harmonization. We need to have regulation and government offices to agree on something. We need to have the education and practice alignment. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to talk about that at length. I will be talking simply what my organization needs to do now on survival mode. So I hear there are 17 countries in this room. I was told. Indonesia might be one of your priority countries from here onward. Look at this. First, I need to get the education program development. I need to work with Dr. Rudy. I need to work with the National Polytechnic of Social Work. I need to work with the University of Pajajaran and Ibu Tuti. I need to work with your university. We need to put our act together. Okay? We need to get the education, social work education development, pull it together. Okay? That's probably the only way to survive on this. Number two, we need to promote social work. This sounds strange in 2025, but we still need to promote this profession in Indonesia. And I'm talking to the converted here. Number three, we need to cross-sector synergy. I was talking to a colleague from Ireland. I was saying that there is specific law in the penal code that obliges children going through we don't have recognition, and on and on. So we need to pull together the cross-sector synergy, and we need to say that social work is the pillar or the solution of the problem of the contemporary Indonesia. And of course, as we do that, we need to have policy advocacy. Next. The forward pathway for us, at least, we need to have the dialogue clearly in Indonesia. Maybe a colleague from the US, from China, from Philippines. We need to work together and encourage the government to sit around the table and compare our notes. What is the situation in Japan? Pakistan, I think we need to talk, no? From Kochi province, and we compare. And how does it look like? We need to have a common journey to this professional growth. I want the university to realize the same problem. Because if we don't do it that way, colleagues, this is what happened. The universities are going on one way. Paul, talking about AI and all that, no? Progressing with the knowledge. But unless we take care of the employment security and the career path, that will not work. The third one, to build a national commitment on social work. Number four, to dedicate the social work on the vulnerable well-being. I will show you this morning. How many of you pay attention to the Minister of Social Affairs presentation? Do you know that that ministry this morning was assuming everybody will make it in the free economy? With some sort of intervention, everybody will become productive. Nobody is telling him. Some part of the society simply cannot make it, whatever you do, because of their characteristics. No matter how much program you pump it, some citizens simply cannot make it. And it is the state's responsibility to take care of them. And that's where social work will have contribution. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, in this very honorable platform, I would like to invite you to have a regional conversation. I was whispering to Paul since last night, and also with Violet over the table, the dinner last night, we need to have more conversation in this region. I want to know what's going on in Thailand. I want to be able to tell my ministry about what's going on or not going on in Malaysia, in India, so that we have common language. This is very important because the world is changing. Okay? I mentioned last night among my colleagues the fact that US aid has closed down. The fact that the world money is now spinning in different way, it have a lot of ramification on the way social work operates. And unless we talk among ourselves, what's the meaning of this profession onward, we will become obsolete. I will not be surprised that my grandchildren, or maybe even my daughter, may no longer need social worker in future because AI will solve the problem. I understand that when you have a problem, you can talk to your AI and they will be a better source of consolation and advice to you. That's being said, ladies and gentlemen, three things. Number one, in my observation, having the legislation alone does not solve the problem. It requires something else. Number two, the state of social work organization and association cannot be taken for granted. It must be integrated part of this profession. And number three, the regional conversation among ourselves is pivotal for us to look for a solution that is workable to the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Puji. I do believe we still have how many minutes? Kamari? Mana panitia ini? About 12 minutes? How many minutes do we have? 15 the most? Okay. So, please allow me to synthesize the discussion because I do believe that later, if I open the floor for question and answers, I will not have any time to give synthesis for what we've been discussed by the three speakers. So from the first from Prof. Paul, I do believe that it's quite really transformative in which he talk about the future of AI, in which again, it brings us to the questions of who controls the algorithm that control human dignity. Since, yeah, I do believe that most of us now really familiar with the AI. And then as for the Dr. Rudy, I do believe that he tried to reframe how environmental justice, proving that what the significance of community sovereignty. He tried to over us that there are no sustainable forests without self-determined communities. And then maybe from Dr. Puji, yeah, he exposed the paradox of provisionalization, how social work can become complicit in its own marginalizations when system resists change. His challenge cuts deep, that transformation is not given, but it is taken. And I do believe that based on these three, I would like to open the floor for maybe only one session of question and answer. So who would like to ask question? One, two, another one, three. Okay, so the lady with the sari there, please tell your name and please make sure as brief as possible. Thank you.
Working? Audible?
Pardon?
Am I audible? My name is Dr. Lavanya from Madras School of Social Work, India. First, I like to appreciate all the speakers for speaking the truth about what's happening in our Asian context. So I want to appreciate all of you. I'm not asking any questions, but I'm proposing an idea. No, we have a lot of regulatory bodies. I'm also part of a Canadian social worker, but currently I'm in India. We need to have social work education curriculum which has case studies or subjects which are more relevant to Asian context. I'm talking about literature. Because all the literatures we refer to the Western world, and it has no alignment what's happening in the field. I think we should take an decision to have an Asian regulatory body for social work education, which we are doing in India. We theorize a lot from the field, and we incorporate in our curriculum. I think that sort of an initiative can represent the literature part of it, as well as a voice at an international level. So that is one of my idea, and we would like to work in collaboration with all the Asian countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Great idea. I do believe that for the rest of the day, yeah, we need to talk about that informally maybe or maybe formally. So, Bapak yang di belakang, ya.
Thank you. I question, my name Bambang Rustanto from Polytechnic Social Welfare in Bandung. We question with Mr. Puji for your expectation, your idea, social work in Indonesia. But in social ministry, many program down to principle in social work. And Pak Rudy, in green social work, in equality community, in forestry, but 1% for 99% the business forestry in Indonesia. What about a social worker in equality for the people in forestry? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Bambang. Next question. Yeah, the red lady, yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you to the three of you for your talk today. My name is Danielle McElroy, and I am from Ireland. My question is directed at Dr. Shaying Shen. Is that right? Yourself? Sorry, you? No, you? Yes.
Paul.
Sorry.
Paul.
Sorry, Paul. Yes, so I suppose it really highlighted to me about the use of AI, and we're increasingly using it in Ireland. And what you had said about research, and particularly the data points, and not being able to access data points from Asia, particularly. I suppose what my question is what is the resolution, really? How do we go about trying to do that?
Astronomy, they always collaborate among all the scientists around the world. They use different telescopes and so on. But when it comes to social human experience, we don't have that level of collaboration. It would be really nice to work with you in Ireland, in Chengdu, in Lagos, in places. We need the money, right? Let's be honest. Astronomy has money to build telescopes. We need that level of platform to rapidly accelerate this interest. You travel this far because you want to know. But many people in ASEAN don't have the resources to engage in research even. But for me, I would demand that there has to be a higher social accountability for big corporations, Google, Meta, etc., Weibo, and what have you. We need to put out the kind of social research fund universally. We do that for astronomy. Go to Mars, the European space agencies. We need to do that. Does every single Indonesian child have a laptop? If they don't have a laptop, how can they have access to AI? Right? And you have volcanoes, you have earthquakes. Philippines has 20 cyclones a year. Okay? So how can people actually engage in AI, meaning that Starlink, the global wealthy needs to make Starlink available to everybody. So to answer the question, I'm a dreamer, but I think we need to move to that platform where there's got to be a way to facilitate this cooperation very fast. I can guarantee you probably half the room here wants to collaborate with you, want to collaborate with people here, right? But we need the ability, the language, and resources. So to answer the question, eventually we have to get there, but the infrastructure, we have to rethink, redo, not just the researchers, the funder, the financier for that, right? AI is financed by some of the biggest money. Elon Musk wants to buy OpenAI for $100 billion. What is that? It's a bunch of machines. Right? So I don't answer your question, but philosophically, I think you understand what I'm saying. But we need this level of collaboration.
Yeah, maybe Prof. Paul, while you are still responding questions, do you have any comment related to the idea proposed by the lady about decolonizing the curriculum of the Global South?
We can use whatever words, but you have to offer something. We have to offer information. For me, the greatest way to overcome past historical colonization or to prevent future colonization is that all of us people here, we gotta push out that information. You're lucky that you speak English. There are many people in Thailand, Vietnam, even Indonesia, people don't speak English like you. So that is another barrier. I work with many people who wants to share the idea, but in China, my understanding is that there is an artificial intelligence ability to translate Mandarin into English, almost 100% purity, meaning it's 100% accurate. But there's no other tools that can translate Bahasa Indonesian or Thai or Vietnamese into English. That's why I think Chinese social scientists are producing a much higher rate because people can do rigorous research in their language and they have ability to translate that. So in the end, we got to push out the information to answer the question. It's not, there's nobody controlling that right now. It's a lack of money, yes. So.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. So maybe the other two speakers, do you like to give a comment and then later followed by the answering the questions?
Okay, thank you. I want to respond the question from the Dr. Bambang. Okay, I agree with the statement from Dr. Bambang that the community around the forestry is still minimum benefit from the forest. And in my literature research, I found so little references about how social work involved in agenda or in environmental issues, especially for the social policy. I can find about how the social worker do in this program. So that's why in this this moment I want to show that truly that the social worker can be involved and can be build how to the program in social policy, for example, could be give the more benefit for the community. So not just the company they get, industry can get benefit from the forest. Now, I think what the social work can do in this program in environmental issue is significantly urgent to have the environmental justice and to have the build or how to improve the community well-being. I think it's my question, Dr. Baba. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Rudy. Next,
Right,
Pak Puji.
colleagues, thank you for the response. From colleague from India, I could not agree more with you that we do need to decolonize the social work. Then we do need to have some indigenous, and the same question that I asked Singwen this morning. Okay, and I like your approach on case study approach, right? The issue is, do we have raw material for that kind of enterprise? Last night in the dinner I was saying, one thing I admire about this conference is that you allow practitioners to present their work here without demanding them to format the work in a journal format. You know that writing is very intimidating. And for practitioners like me, there's no incentive to write my practice. No incentive. So I never write my practice. So my response to your question is, for us to be able to gather as many case studies as possible, we should allow the practitioner and bring the practitioner to share their practice in the simplest possible form. Let's not ask for 20 pages write-up. Like this young people from China. Hey, Chinese student, look. Hello. Okay. These young people from China, they present their work in one poster. And they're able to explain what it's all about. Can you imagine that practitioners can do that? In one poster, how do you assess a children with speech impediment to explain sexual assault, for example? No? If you allow them, if you ask them to write a journal format, that will never happen. But if you ask them, just draw it in a poster and bring it here, it might actually happen. Number two, I think English is still inevitable, Paul. It's lingua franca everywhere. I don't think we can interact with different languages. I think English is still there, although the machine is helping us with that. Now, number three, my proposal. I would like to have the universities and you, the giants of social work, to think with me. Can we provide that platform? Say, once a month, we will get the practitioners to tell us or to tell one another how they do their job. Right? With no write-up requirements. Just free rolling. We might get many case studies from there. And number two, if there are really hidden gems and raw diamonds, then we can help that practitioner to refine the writing. So that's an invitation and challenge. If you'd like to take it up, I'll be here today and tomorrow. Approach me. We might do it online. So it's free. Any country could join. You can get practitioner to join. And let it be party once a month. For Pak Bambang, my response is this. I think it's inevitable also to acknowledge the situation where the ministry is doing what the president wants as his priority, his campaign promise. And social work discipline, on the other hand, might be going along or left behind. The challenge and opportunity now Many of the ministers' advisors are coming from also universities. So those who are engaging with the ministers have a good chance to bridge these gaps. And I'll be more than happy to meet the minister and explain our position. I wrote to him, to the minister, 5 times for the last 2 years. 5 times. And not once I'm granted to meet the minister. Not once. What does it mean? It means that the country, the official, is not looking at social work as an important factor in this country. That's the truth. It's bitter, but it's there. You and I need to deal with that.
Thank you, Dr. Puji. Give applause to the 3 speakers. So, Dr. Puji mentions about the challenge. So, who dare to take the challenge? Anyway, we are now run out of time. It's only 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So, I don't think I'm allowed to open more space for question and answer. So, I would like to give the 3 speakers to maybe give a last, Yes, please, Pak Rudi, last word.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned before, that our environment is decreased. Our environment is going to making worse. So I think it's time to social work to think and act in this issue. Thank you.
In the case of Indonesia, social work is symbolized by lotus. It means whether you put us in the palace, beautiful pool, or in the dirt, or in the worst circumstances, we still bloom as lotus, a beautiful and radiates. So never lose hope. There's always tomorrow, and social work never give up.
Thank you.
I just want to add to what Pak Puji was talking earlier. That's one thing that's missing in this part of the world, is that we don't appreciate the practice or the clinical knowledge. Well, the journals are based on science like astronomy. Astronomers don't practice. They have experiment. They have to look at the telescope. We deal with humans. We have to practice. We don't look at telescope. So there should be a different way to allow knowledge from the field, knowledge to be shared, knowledge to be published. That's another way to speed up the transfer of knowledge to the work as well. So that's, I think that's a very good point. Thank you, though.
Thank you. So with that, concluding remarks by the 3 speakers, we conclude the sessions of our plenary too. So let's give a round of applause for the 3 superheroes of social works. And now, we're gonna move to the parallel sessions. So as a moderator, I do thank you for everything. And, we have an appreciation stuff. So please stay on the stage. So I will that's beyond my. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Untuk, PhD, as the moderator, and to all great speakers, give a big round of applause, everybody. So next is handing over certificate to all speakers and the moderators, which will be delivered by Vice Dean 2, Faculty of Social and Political Science, Mr. Dr. Muhammad Sahrul, MSI. The first certificate is for Dr. Paul Duong Tran, Professor, California State University, USA. The next certificate is for Dr. Puji Pujiono, MSW, RSW. Next certificate to Dr. Rudi Saparudin Darwis, Associate Professor, University of Pajajaran. Okay. Next is group photo session. We ask for your willingness to come to the front stage because we're gonna do the group photo session with the Vice Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science. Okay. Let us come together. Okay, show the certificate. Okay, everyone ready? In 3, 2, 1. Another pose. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving into parallel session, which will take place in a 10 separate breakout room. Each room hosts a specific theme and topic led by our distinguished presenter and moderator. Participants are kindly requested to proceed to the breakout room according to the session or topic listed in your program booklet or digital schedule. Our committee members are available to assist you in locating your assigned room. And please ensure that you are settled in your respective room before the session begins. We wish you to productive and engaging discussion in your parallel session. Thank you.